Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today we're going over PlayStation's showcase, the state of play for February 12th, 2025. So this was interesting. So it was like a lot longer than I expected. Usually they're pretty short, but we're going to get into what they showed. Most of it, they roughly had about 30 games that they showed. Some we'd seen before, some we hadn't. And then I'll talk about the showcase itself and just how this was not a type of showcase I was expecting. Maybe for different reasons than you think, but the title should say. So yeah, first they started off with Monster Hunter Wilds, as you can see. So yeah, they started with this trailer. You know, they showed bosses. They had devs talking about it a little bit. And, let me just talk about the beta so far. So far, it's been underwhelming. I'm going to try it again this weekend. This is the last weekend. It was also extended for PlayStation and PC players. I'm not sure about Xbox. But Lion and I have took some time to play it. Lion's played quite a few more hours than I have. But yeah, so far, it's just kind of more Monster Hunter. It doesn't really seem to have really any big invasions that change the immersion or really kind of capture you. It's just kind of stuff we've seen before. We didn't see any new weapons. A lot of the gear is also the same. We do have a ride for faster movement around the map, which is nice. Traveling is actually quite a bit faster. But it also feels like it takes away from some of the uniqueness of the map. Because while you're riding, you're just kind of more focused on getting toward the objective instead of actually exploring. Not that you can't do that, but I feel like the map did change in its kind of style and uniqueness a little bit. Maybe it has something to do with the biome that we're playing into, which is the desert. There's, of course, some other biomes as well, but like it just feels like there's kind of less incentive to actually explore. And this is kind of a bummer because it's like more focused on like quest driven than exploration driven. And that's partly what made like Monster Hunter Wilds more fun to play. Literally the last several iterations is just being able to kind of explore the world, immerse yourself, being incentivized to explore, finding kind of like new little nooks and crannies. And I'm not really sure if we're going to have that this time. It's just more focused on the monsters, focusing on the main quests, and doing the multiplayer. There's also performance issues too. Problems with frames, problems with shaders, especially in some areas, or especially like during nighttime, there were more issues with shaders I was noticing. And there's a little bit of texture pop in as well. Now, I understand this is a beta, so like this is a separate build from the actual game, but it's built off of everything that they've done for the game itself. So that still has me concerned, because if the beta looks like this 2 weeks before launch, I'm not really sure if it's going to be optimized. So yeah, I'm expecting there to be fixes on release or like a big day one patch to fix some of this, but I would also expect PC to be frustrating, because while I'm seeing this on Xbox, people are complaining about what they're seeing on their PC, and it's way worse. Like, it really doesn't look good. The textures don't look good. Everything is just kind of blurry and like low resolution, and they're kind of thinking that there's just the upscalers are really putting in a lot of the work to kind of get the resolution and frame rate that we want, including too with like frame gen. So those on PC kind of feel like the PC port for Monster Hunter Wilds is going to be using those tools to kind of cover up the lack of optimization that they have for release. And again, it's like this is another $70 plus game that people are going to be paying for, and we shouldn't have unoptimized stuff like this. So again, I really hope I'm wrong on release, but the picture isn't looking that great for the release date at the end of the month. Next two, and this too is not necessarily exclusive. We also too got Shinobi. That's what you're seeing right now on your screen, and looks pretty fun, like a more simplistic kind of fun side-scroller game for some of us older folks that enjoyed those types of games. That's coming August 29th. That too is also not exclusive. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, we could expect this in 2025 sometime. There will be a closed beta testing on February 21st. You can go and register on their website. It's all in Japanese, and it's only for PlayStation 5. That's where the test is going to take place. And yeah, as you can see, it's just kind of more like Mario Kart with Sonic and portals and stuff. The portals are kind of interesting because you're now being, as you'll see, transported to kind of like other worlds or kind of like other different types of maps. So yeah, this looks actually pretty interesting. This too will also not be exclusive. Next, we got to see Digimon Story, which will be coming in 2025. This will be a JRPG, kind of like some semi-open world elements, maybe, or like some area open world elements to the game. And again, it doesn't necessarily look great, and I'm not entirely sure if that's just because of the art direction, but like the graphics don't look amazing or anything. Fairly basic controls for riding your Digimon or having the battles and stuff. But hey, it's still Digimon. Like, it's still something that people are going to be excited about. This, too, is also not exclusive. Next, we got to see Lost Souls Aside. This will be May 30th, 2025. This will be coming to PlayStation 5 and PC only. Very cinematic game. Reminded me a lot of kind of like the Final Fantasy game visually. And then this kind of looks like a boss runner, like Black Myth Wukong. Because again, as we see in the gameplay that they showed, is that it's just a lot of like running straight. Like, there's really not a lot of branching paths or anything. It is just really, really linear looking, and that's why it looks like. Then, in my opinion, it just looks like a boss runner. Next, we got to see WWE 2K25. This will be March 14th, 2025. This also is not exclusive. Their big push is, of course, you get WWE, but they have something called The Island, which is going to be introducing a place to not wrestle, basically do shopping, do side quests, that kind of thing. It's kind of got like a small city vibe. There's places to go, and also a ton of customization for your character, and I'm sure it's going to be heavily monetized on that front. PlayStation 4 version will not have The Island. It'll just be more wrestling. But yeah, this I think is going to go down horribly for a lot of people, as they tried this with NBA 2K, and again, it's just they're just trying to find ever creative ways to get your money for the digital shopping experience, and it's gross. Like, I just want them to make games. That would be nice. Next, we got to see Borderlands 4. This will be September 23rd, 2025. They are going to have their own separate showcase to actually show more about the game. But again, hey, it looks like Borderlands. Nothing overly exciting, nothing drastic. But this, too, is also not going to be exclusive. Next, we got to see Split Fiction. This will be March 6th, 2025. From the creators of It Takes Two. We've already seen this a couple of other times this year. And this, too, will also not be exclusive. Next, we got to see Directive 8020. This will be from the creators of The Quarry, and which I actually quite enjoyed. Not a game I would necessarily want to play a ton of times over, but it was kind of a fun experience. This will be October 2nd, 2025. This, too, will also not be an exclusive. Directive will also be a part of the Dark Picture series. So if you've played any of those, it's going to be from the same creators, and it's going to follow kind of the same type of story. And it does look interesting. I mean, it's like alien invasion on a spaceship, and it's kind of got that kind of like Dead Space Callisto Protocol vibe. And I always enjoy those. So, yeah, we'll see what it's like. Next, we got to see Five Nights at Freddy's, The Secret of the Mimic. This will be June 13th, 2025. This will be on PlayStation 5 and PC only. And it looks a lot like Security Breach. And so your job is you're working for the company, you're trying to find this mimic that can like change into any robot or whatever and be able to cloak itself. And of course, there's going to be some jump scares. It's dark. I mean, what do you expect? It's a Five Nights at Freddy game. So some people are going to be really excited about this and others not. And hey, that's totally okay. To each their own. Let's talk about Midnight Walk. This will be May 8th, 2025. This will be on PlayStation 5, PC, and virtual reality. Also for PlayStation and for PC. And yeah, Midnight Walk is like Tim Burton kind of style clay animation. Some people are really going to enjoy that. Other people, I think, are going to hate how kind of how the frame rate is or how kind of jerky some of the animation is going to be. So it's really kind of a niche type of game. And yeah, some people are going to like it, some people aren't. But yeah, there are quite a few that are actually excited for this. We also got to see Onimusha 2 Remastered. This will be May 23rd, 2025. This will not be exclusive. And again, it really does look like a remaster. No changes in design, no changes in camera angle. Some of the facial animations are redone. And yeah, there's really not too much to expect there except for just actually like a remaster. There's also Onimusha The Way of the Sword. This will be 2026, also not exclusive. And yeah, this is telling more of the story, a much more of a kind of modern style and take on the game, with like what we would expect from like Sekiro or something like that. And honestly, yeah, it does look pretty fun. Next, we got to see Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake. This will be August 28th, 2025, which I'm so excited for. I already got it pre-ordered. It's paid off. This also will not be an exclusive game. But yeah, it looks amazing. I'm excited. Hell Is Us will be September 4th, 2025. Also not exclusive. Hell Is Us kind of looks like a double A kind of studio, smaller budget. And it does look fun. Not an open world, kind of maybe more like a God of War, original God of War type of style, where it's very linear. You kind of follow a path. But it does look fun for what it is. I do think, though, that it might be kind of maybe have some performance issues. Some people were also mentioning that when they were doing their own review state of play. And then, yeah, going back and watching, it's just like, yeah, it does look like there's some frame rate issues and stuff. But hey, it looks like a fun game nonetheless. Next, we got to see Liza P DLC. This will be summer 2025. So Liza P is probably the closest we'll ever get to Bloodborne, until we actually get a Bloodborne remaster or something like that. But it's great to see that we're getting more DLC. And it has been a while. And so, yeah, I'm expecting the DLC to actually be fairly large and to be quite well in the performance category. So that'll be summer 2025. Dreams of Another. Also 2025, this will be to PlayStation 5 and PSVR. And yeah, this one looked pretty interesting, kind of like having someone that's dreaming, a little boy, and having a MP5 machine gun or submachine gun and kind of shooting your world and kind of talking about destruction always is not the end. There's also things that are created out of that. So it'll be like that type of a story. Next, we got to see Days Gone Remastered. This will be April 25th, 2025. This will be on PlayStation 5 and PC. So another day and date game. There will be new modes added like Permadeath, Speedrun, and Horde mode, which probably the biggest mode will be Horde mode. That really looks like it's actual content. Permadeath and Speedrun, like that could be a patch or something pretty easy. And even Enhanced Photo mode. Like those could be patches for the game. So why they're putting that behind a paywall, that's kind of frustrating. If you have purchased Days Gone on PlayStation 4, you can upgrade for $10, just like what they did with the Horizon Remaster, or you can pay $50. Next, we got to see Stellar Blade. It's going to be coming on PC in June 2025, and also the Nikkei DLC. And yeah, some people didn't seem too excited. Other people seemed really stoked. So yeah, not much else to say about that. It is nice that it is actually coming to PC. This was one of the games that I was actually thinking it would be. It wasn't going to stay on PlayStation forever because, again, a lot of these publishers, they've just been focusing on wanting to get more money, getting their game in front of more people, and exclusivity is just kind of becoming a thing that publishers do not want because, again, they want those sales. So PlayStation, I think, needs to come up with a different strategy than just having timed exclusive all the time because, again, that's not going down very well anymore, and it's also not getting the sales that they want. Next, we got to see Armored Core. Man, I wish I could actually have this. But yeah, Armored Core 1, 2, and 3, they will be added to the classic catalog on PlayStation Premium only. And so I grew up with Armored Core. I played number 2, Project Phantasma. Really fun. It had some elements in there that I wish the recent Armored Core actually released it with, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. And also no more updates. But yeah, I grew up with Armored Core. It's such a blast. But yeah, the controls are also quite challenging. So I don't think a ton of people are going to necessarily be playing these. But again, this is just another example of some older games that would be wonderful to be remastered. And Xbox has some too, like Blood Wake or Spy Hunter. It'd be great to actually remaster some of these games. and bring them into collections or bring them into kind of like new audiences of today. But yeah, they're not doing that, so that's all right. But yeah, the thing that's ultimately frustrating for me with PlayStation Premium with their classic catalog is that they're paywalling the backwards compatibility list. So they're allowing people to play these games, but they have to pay a premium price for it. And I don't know. There's a lot of games on there that people wouldn't necessarily be interested in, especially those that are, probably in their 20s or younger. Probably just not really that interested. But yeah, it'd be nice again if they could just do remasters. That would be great. PlayStation Premium members are around 4 to 9 million users currently. And it's just had stagnated growth. So again, they're not really making money on their classic catalog or expanding their backwards compatibility list. I am hoping we actually see PlayStation numbers with their earnings call coming really soon. But, instead of these actual remasters, we got Horizon Until Dawn and Days Gone. Again, these are games like people really didn't ask for. There's not a lot of hype around these. And two, they're PlayStation 4 games. They kind of feel like a cheat. They don't really need a remaster. Even looking at Days Gone remastered, it looks basically the same. Like, you can't really tell a difference, even shoving up the resolution on the video up to 4K at 60 frames. It basically looks kind of the same for a lot of the environments and the visuals. Remastering something like PlayStation 1 or 2 games, man, that would be great. Or like original Xbox and Xbox 360, that would be wonderful. But again, are they going to do that? Probably not. There's also licensing issues with that, but that's for another video. Tides of Annihilation, no date yet, also not an exclusive, very much like a Dark Souls-like type of gameplay, Black Myth, Wukong, etc. There were some performance issues with Tides of Annihilation, like some dropped frames. Lucas Stevens was able to catch this while he was playing, and he's really good at picking up that type of stuff. And he was actually able to slow down and be like, yep, there's some frames missing right there. So yeah, he did a pretty good job representing that. But again, I think we're going to see kind of more like Chinese studios trying to put out better products than just mobile games. They're going to try in the AA space. And I am excited for that, but I think that is also going to come with a learning curve for them. Like with Black Myth Wukong not being able to run on a Series S, while other studios can do it. Like GTA 6 will actually run pretty well on a Series S, according to the developers over there. But, not everyone knows how to optimize to that level, and that makes it challenging. So get good, I guess. But yeah, Tides of Annihilation does look pretty fun. Again, not everyone's too excited about this, but most of the videos that I actually watched on the PlayStation State of Play were mentioning this game because it looks graphically fun, it looks engaging, there's definitely some stylized combat there, and it is pretty to look at. I mean, it's probably one of the better games that they actually showed. Next, we got to see Metal Eden. This is May 6th, 2025. This is also not an exclusive. This is a first-person shooter with the base abilities, basically. Reminds me a lot of kind of like a sci-fi Bioshock, especially like Bioshock 3. You have one hand that shoots and another hand that does abilities and stuff. So yeah, it kind of reminds me of that Bioshock type of style. Next is Mind's Eye. I'm actually excited for this one. Summer 2025. Not exclusive. This is a third-person shooter in kind of a semi-open world-ish. I think some environments will kind of be semi-open world and others look actually open world where you're engaging with vehicles. So yeah, vehicles can be driven. There's going to be chase happening in the world. And this is like a pre-cyberpunk type of feel. Like it's not quite that level of technology yet, but it's getting there. And I'm assuming there'll be kind of maybe some abilities or some like perks or other things in the game or certain skills you'll maybe be able to have or develop in the gameplay. Kind of looked like that maybe a little bit during some of the scenes, but I'm not really quite sure. They need to provide more information. The story looks like kind of a take on iRobot, the movie. So if you've ever seen that with Will Smith, pretty fun one actually. But it's kind of got that type of vibe to it because there's also robots in the world and like they're coming after you and you're about to discover something that the government doesn't want you to know. So that looks pretty interesting to me. Lastly, we got to see Saros, which is 2026. This is PlayStation Studios by House Marquee. And some got extremely excited about this because they love Returnal. And But yeah, this will be a third person. This was just a teaser trailer, so it was about a minute and 20 seconds. Didn't really show very much, but it showed enough that people got super stoked for it. Excuse me. And yeah, that was the showcase. So it was pretty full. There was a lot of stuff there, but again, as you can tell, doing the counts, there's only 2 games that were actually PlayStation, like truly exclusives. Everything else was either going to PC or not exclusive at all. And so compared with other states of play, this one was actually pretty good. But I believe, the states of play, they're no longer about the AAA showcases, or at least most of them. They're more kind of mid or softer AA showcases. That's what they're going to be. And we'll get bigger ones later in the year, or maybe even for like Summer Game Fest and the Game Awards with like Ghosts of Yote, Wolverine, God of War, and Soros gameplay. Like we'll see that in other states of play or different types of showcases. But I think we really need to kind of mitigate our expectations of what PlayStation's states of play are going to be. They're not like full-blown, massive AAA bangers. Again, they're just going to be kind of smaller smaller showcases, smaller games, smaller studios. And this is actually the longest one that they've had in a few years. 46 minutes. Yeah, this one was huge. Usually they're somewhere between 25 and 35 minutes. But yeah, this one was pretty packed. One thing that was nice is you can be able to see they're not spending a lot of time looking at something else. There's not a lot of like looking over the PlayStation buttons on the controller or anything, or camera angles. They're really just focused on presenting you the trailers, presenting you a little bit of conversation from the devs, which is nice, which is what Xbox has been doing, and that's been going over a lot better. So we did see 11 new IPs in total. We did also see, again, 2 PlayStation exclusives, 5 games that were PlayStation 5 and PC, and then 14 that were for all platforms. And this really, in the end, didn't feel like a Sony showcase. It felt more like a showcase for just AA games. And I personally feel like, with this being like a C+, comparing the other states of play, this was definitely a better state of play, a C somewhere in there, or like a 7 out of 10. Because the last few states of play that they've had over the last 2 or 3 years really haven't been great, and they're people do usually tend to skip them. There was a lot of views this time on PlayStation's showcase, a few million, but yeah, too, this was also a lot of stuff we'd already seen. So, and some stuff too was also already leaked, so that kind of took away kind of the hype away from the showcase, which isn't fair, but that happens, unfortunately. But yeah, overall, this was not overly exciting. This kind of felt more like a shotgun of games compared to like Xbox's sniper rifle when they have their showcases, because those are really focused on what Xbox is going to be bringing to their platform, through their service of Game Pass. That's really the majority of it. That's really it. And then PlayStation's just feels like a broadening of, hey, anybody, any third-party publisher that wants to actually bring their games or show off their game during the showcase, they can pay money and they can do that. So that's kind of frustrating. And then, too, some of this stuff we already saw during the Capcom Spotlight Showcase, which I don't think a lot of people actually watched. I did, so I already knew about Onimusha and a few of the others, because we had already seen that. But yeah, comparing this showcase to other showcases, especially comparing to like Xbox or Summer Game Fest that we usually see or whatever, this showcase is still kind of like an F or a D. It's just really mid. It's just like a 5 or even less than that, because again, there's not a lot of new stuff to really be overly excited about that, to be excited about stuff. I think, too, we're getting to a point where a lot of the games kind of feel and look the same. Japanese swordplay is really big right now, and that's just kind of generally what we've been getting in a lot of games. And I think that, too, is eventually going to wear off. So studios that are starting projects now on making these kind of projects and styles of games, I think they're going to be hurt a little bit when they actually release in 27 or 28 or 29, And I think they're going to be surprised. It's like, man, another one? Come on. And then, too, we're still seeing remasters. We also got to see a lot of updates for certain games in this showcase. And again, it's just frustrating. It's almost like the states of play are losing their identity because it's so much of not PlayStation. You know what I mean? So we'll see what these games include, with their first party studios at Summer Game Fest and Game Awards. We'll probably see more about that, or maybe even some states of play later. We'll have at least one or two more later this year. But yeah, that was kind of the showcase. Like, it had a lot of stuff to show, but there wasn't a lot of excitement. And the things that people are excited for, it's basically one PlayStation game in 26, so it's not even coming this year. We'll probably have to wait 24 months roughly to actually get the game, or almost. Yeah, 20 to 24 months before we actually get the game, if it's not delayed. But that's been happening a lot too with a lot of these AAA games. Is they've been getting delayed, and some of the bigger AA's that have kind of like bigger budgets is there's issues and problems, and there's so many platforms too that games have to be made for now. So maybe maybe Saros won't have that problem because they're just making it again for one platform. And I imagine maybe even that game too, like everything else has pretty much except for Astrobot, will eventually go over to PC at some point in maybe a year or a couple of years after that. So if it releases in 26, we'll get it in 27 or sometime in 28 for actual PC. So, yeah, that was the showcase. A lot of these, the last several years, it just feels like you can skip them. A lot of stuff we've seen, a lot of stuff about third party, and just really nothing from PlayStation. And this is when you really start to see, this year that PlayStation just doesn't have a lot to show because of how many games they've canceled and how many games they've delayed. I'm still surprised. No Marathon, no Project Gummy Bears, no Fair Games. There's nothing else about other live service games. Like, they haven't shown anything with where they've been putting their money since 2018. It's kind of surprising. And yeah, this was really a third-party showcase. This really wasn't PlayStation at all, except for one. I mean, you could have saved the last minute and a half, 2 minutes, and watched Saros, and that would have been it. Like, that was the PlayStation showcase. The rest of it was everything else. And again, most of these games are also just coming to Xbox. So this isn't even an exclusive showcase. This is a showcase for everybody. And I think ultimately that's what's going to happen. We're just going to see that focus. So thanks for tuning in, folks. You can always like, sub, all that jazz. And share the content if you enjoy it. I'm going to be sharing a kind of deeper dive into the Monster Hunter Wilds beta with my and Lion's experience. And then we have Tomb Raider literally releasing tomorrow, so we'll be starting the Remaster Volume 2 collection pretty soon. And then we also have gaming news this weekend. So with that, folks, hopefully you guys are doing well. I'll see you guys on the next one.